Well, Jean, it's really good to see you. Thank you so much for joining me for this call. For the people at Anthony Collins who are going to be listening on this call, Jean, you're the Chief Executive at St Basil's, and we have had a number of years supporting St Basil's from Anthony Collins. But particularly for today, what I really wanted to talk about was your role as Chair of the West Midlands Combined Authority Homelessness Taskforce. And I understand we helped you with a particular project last year. I wondered if you could talk about how we helped you and what that involved.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Thanks, Peter. I'm really pleased to be contributing to this, and say a big hello to all your colleagues and Anthony Collins, all in their individual rooms somewhere. You know, so much attention now is on rough sleeping. Who is rough sleeping? Predominantly single men, 83%, predominantly white single men. So the view sometimes of broader public society is that is homelessness. Whereas actually what we know is that in the West Midlands, in the Combined Authority area alone, we have 5,000 households in temporary accommodation. And 4,000 of those are families with children, and the largest proportion of those are women and children. So the real hidden homelessness is actually families with children. So because the task force wanted to look at the whole piece, children and families, young people, older singles, and those that had kind of the ultimate exclusion of rough sleeping. So we were looking at those areas, and the attention we wanted to pay on families was, we know the route for families is that the families will get into difficulties with their tenancies. It's very often rent arrears, it may be other issues, it may be antisocial behaviour, it may be domestic abuse, it can be other issues. But a large proportion of those who become homeless from social housing, it is around debt and rent. We also know that what happens is that they you know, people, it overwhelms them. They they don't know, they can't get out of it. It ends up, you know, the landlord sharpens a pencil, goes to court. Eventually the court will allow possession. The family then move out of their home. They move into temporary accommodation, cost for the local authority. Landlord is left with an empty property, probably hasn't been hugely well looked after because everything's overwhelmed the family. And so what you end up with is significant financial cost all the way down the road, but more importantly, significant social cost. Because those children then, they have the shame, they have the embarrassment, they fall out of schooling, they're in temporary accommodation, and that TA now can be for a very, very long time, until eventually another offer is made, probably not as good as the place they had in the first place. Yeah. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to explore the concept of can we stop all of that? Can we stop the financial cost, and can we stop the social cost? And so we wanted to look at the concept of, we're calling them, and you guys are calling them, we made it up really, but we're calling them recovery tenancies. Okay, somebody's got into difficulty. What if they don't have to leave that property? What if you can resolve the issue, even if it goes to court and the children stay in the same home and their friends can still come round and they can still go to school, and they don't have all of the trauma that comes with being evicted and moving on. And then the financial cost for both the landlord and the local authority is obviously significant as well. So what you guys have been doing, and Black Country Housing Association, Amanda Tomlinson, Chief Exec there, has been working with you folks, working with Emma and working with Baljet, and sort of Jonathan's been supporting as well. Really looking at is it possible to do that? Is it possible to keep the family in the home, even if they lose the tenancy? Could we possibly demote the tenancy to a lower level, which enables them to stay there, but gives the conditionality and obviously protects the landlord and reduces the cost to the local authority? Would the local authority underwrite that stay there as the family's temporary accommodation in order to keep them there, so that eventually they can staircase back up to security? Now, that all sounds dead simple, and to me as a layperson, that's great. Yeah, why don't we just do it? Now, of course, we can't just do it because there's all kind of legal issues, complex legal issues around the nature of the tenancies, around equalities issues, around coercion. You know, we could persuade tenants to serve notice and reduce tenure. So there's layers of issues. And so what you guys have been doing is you've been exploring all of those layers working with Amanda initially, reporting back to the Homelessness Taskforce, securing the support collectively of all the cabinet members of the seven authorities. They're all supportive of it in order to try this out and help underwrite both the support and also any potential additional arrears.